whether they're the Minister of Finance or you're sure they're Ghana, na manana oreka that reflect what Ghanaians really go through as we speak at the middle of July. Nanaya, Minister about Parliament because oyenche Section 28 of the PFM Act, Public Financial Management Act. Oshe minister, not the minister shall not later than 31st of July of each financial year prepare and submit to Parliament the mid-year fiscal policy review. Oyenche. May you sure there's a onyensha in minister and come by Parliament. Because from the beginning of the statement to the end, BBA in this statement nima oma a clear direction to the people of Ghana. That from January to June, a Juma ye no day na ote. Now from July to December, this is how we want to carry Ghanaians forward. That was never the direction of the Minister for Finance. In fact, sitting in the house, also there now in fact, sir cameras in the park or in the back. The majority side of Parliament in a minority, they were completely indifferent. Manochende na NDC for na war majority side. Beka the budget na war can put on for one. In fact, until October end na obey paid. Na oma on the casa paid. Na waka paid. They no on tasi. Because you see, Sir Eshe the media review now. Echo them section now me read section 28. D. Also there, C. Also an analysis of Michelle CFA in Fambra. Also A. The media fiscal review shall include the following. A brief overview of recent macroeconomic development of government. B. An update of macroeconomic forecast undertaken by government. C. An analysis of total revenue, expenditure, financing performance for up to the first 6 months. To read the budget in the Bisaharuna there, or total revenue analysis. And also my total expenditure analysis for budget. Because budget is all about the revenue and expenditure. The minister for the first time in Ghana's history, media review, our minister Ogwani feed the revenue position of this country as at half year. At the same time, no minister and expenditure copy him that no see paid. Now paid, and what did he pay? All the paid in now statutory payment. All the paid yesika yeji tu muda abano on spend, which he has not even been able to raise enough to pay the total numbers also the utria by the half year. Now, this is a government or shall say no now or declare policies the two got up and do a wejuma. Bisaharu no ti one NDC na obi or Ghana there or TBB for a Juma creation one a Juma ye. This is the biggest problem Ghanaians face today. One flagship program our friend a Jumera. Bisaharu na there or TBB for a Jumera one. 1 million coders are worthy to. As we speak today, half year, Minister Kadobe create 1 million coders. Bisanda Minister Onyaku could do 1 million coders to do Ghana fana. In fact, in Kabe media budget reviewer, there's a lot of expectation from manufacturers, from industries, from the business community. There Ebema warning Kranshebi about the future of business in this country. Bisamini Haruna there or TBB for Ejumayehu. Another manufacturing, another industry creation. One almighty 24-hour economy. This is your flagship program. A 2.5-year budget and a today work BBA for 24-hour economy. This clearly tells you that the government has failed and is failing, and this is where I am worried. Now let's take the revenue numbers. Equal. Paragraph 228. Paragraph 228 of the statement. Ne paragraph 228 all can be about ne revenues. And because onye na agenda obeka no kwa che Ghana fo ntina na yote asema ato Forson no ka che Ghana fo. Also, non-oil tax revenue as at June 2026 was 6.4% of GDP. Ono sunase cheden. Say MIN revenue. Tell us the total revenue that you have collected. In the beginning now, Obama budget no. Okache and the total expected revenue for 2026 Obe expected Obeji 268 billion. This is what he told us. Wambeka and Chende Obeji 13% of GDP. Also Obeji 268 billion. As at half year, no, you are expected to collect 134 billion. Ayene total ekwa appendix 1 ekwa any total total revenue ayaje Ghana as at half year or 124 billion, meaning that almost about 30 billion of revenue has not been collected as at half year. Why then can't check Ghana for 30 billion into manje as at half year? And because when to one Jimmy, there is no way he's able to spend it. Expenditure ender. Total expenditure Baneka Dobe spend 302 billion. As at half year, not said there Aban or spend 158 billion, according to Nansani 2026 budget. Yeka say total expenditure Abana spend it is a short of 30 billion. Almost 20% behind the total. So why would you not be able to obesida na catch them the way jumere able to my obesida na catch them the 1 million code able to my obesida na catch them that you be able to create jobs for the ordinary Ghanaian? This is the true reflection of your work. Equal customs revenue. What the company be our friend Republican AI. I told by Parliament under a certificate of agency. GRE for the past 8 years, every year on year, what the revenue in excess of 25% year on year, every year. Customs will perform more than 20% year on year because the economy on its own grows. I took a chair and penny budget today. Even with the introduction of the publican, customs revenue is growing at 15%. Poor. Yeah, because customs is performing below target. That's a tough year. Aqua for public and a wabeji scale triacle. And you still cannot even collect customs revenue. And you sit here and you want to tell Ghanaians today the economy is what?
But talking of publican AI, and no minister can say on monthly basis. So always can omunya in excess of 75 million.
Onya no kwa in the sense that
but people say says he can in excess of 75 million onya no. Senka customs publican AI na ma enka says can omunya.
Oh, Nana, it is the most disingenuous statement by the Minister of Finance because customs already at their CTSB, Customs Technical Bureau, now what the revenue assessment. In fact, the public and ayeka only customs for now what you go and check. It is the customs people that are there to do the normal reviews of petitions that people bring. It's the AI now no. They are only connecting the normal revenue now customs watching in our attribute to the AI. And that is why I'm telling you that even that technology now working, if the AI wasn't there, customs revenue was originally growing by over 20% every year on year. So even with the introduction of publican, you should have expected in excess of 30% growth or 35%. Then you can tell me that there's a usefulness for that publican. Now at the publican the company is already growing in excess of 20%. You bring me public and you are growing 17%. Then you tell me the public and amba in a year on month 17 million. Why not catch the customs? What you want to know? Every month you will increase revenue collection. Go and check the data on a monthly basis. Nana, say revenue and expenditure bits now. Oh yeah, the core to Ghana ye for which reason government is unable to spend abandon too much spending now. Areas are ato okempo oya has to do with kwana offered or set standards. Nana, yet a parliament na honorable Atubeka Chende or the new project be by our friend the Ghana Accelerated Reserve Brofo Tintin there saying Yame Aduma Afi yen domestic reserves, our gross international reserve no ye be grow from 5.7 to 8.6 by the end of the year. Haruna Ekeya. In fact, per that program now or by the Ghana Accelerated Reserve, also there between 2026 and 2030, we'll be making sure that year to year create in excess of 18 months of import cover. Doc, Ekeya Demasem na to Kenya. As we speak today, I took a chair and there. Baby, na yen obeje abano na yen reserves no order 5.7 because they took this country as at the end of 2024 with 5.7 import cover, months of import cover. Obia also odbeko 8.6 no. Yeka say it is still hovering at 5 according to Nancy and the budget statement. It them accelerated no dey aboko 8.6. Now 5.7 ebe fair nimpo no ati odoma and 5.0 no. Not sure that the masem na oka no. Ona me fa no we create them reserve no da magana for. And this is actually the most critical part of Oche there. From 3.0 that President Akufo-Addo NPP for warfare fee. I would see 5.7. I expected that bound it be grown to 6 to 8 now Orekano. Saying they actually retrogressing in terms of our security, in terms of Inzama able to yada bagana yada babetikwa. Minia, Sir Efa, the area of debt stock. Yanka wa yedi Ghana. In MPP for Bobisian, in MPP for Bobisian, in MPP for Bobisian. It has a 2024 now yen debt stock is 720 billion. 2025. I took a check that he's been able to reduce the debt stock from 720 billion to 630 billion. It's no young bonus for him. Yeah, general do parliament. Yes, Atumuna yo. Half year 2026, as at May, debt stock has gone back to 720.8 billion.
From one case away.
Document and Kenya. Aruna. Nyabutana kano na sama ye kano ye nibresem. Debt stock is 720.8 billion. Or yeah, exclusive of the $850 million. Almost $1 billion at 3 days ago. What about Parliament? What about GIA? What do you free SHS?
Who can you imagine?
On your 300 million. Haruna, what them are Haruna do what they call
education infrastructure.
Oh, and can the document now? What's the day they want to? Oh, no, Haruna. One K education infrastructure. Manke Diban. Miss what be SHS.
I can't 3 minutes into
No. Massa, what they bear $300 billion, What's what they call grade, what they call improve schools. Category now on your free SHS asema. I said they bear double track, they reduce double track. On your free bear 2 free SHS, bear 2 free SHS, bear 2 free SHS, no near Bobesian near free SHS. Bear no free SHS, here Bobesian near free SHS. Now with that loan of 850, you are going to increase the total debt stock by an additional 100 billion. What am I saying you? Nanda down or dorsum. This whole budget are to reading or a settings. Or a budget of settings.
Well, ma.
Disingenuity. One can acquire Ghana for sure. I'm coming Mifiana Meba, and I'm very passionate about the youth of this country. You can't read a media budget and share and kwana or maniru grow near to me alpha mebune juma. One Kasawo flagship programs will be created, Juman. You are silent on them. So where do you want the unemployed you to go? Imebuna 1 year Jumana Bepimunde every day. Who chrome what fraud they pay Juma Mahono? Where do you want them to get the Jumera from? Where do you want them to get the coders job from? Matida will CCC coder quarters in Kitty Bimahon. How many computers have they given you to set up your coders?
100 computers go.
100 computers. It's a multiply 100 100 in Pobamidacho. One more 100 times 200 times 278 people are on one. Please. It's in an hour. Made them ask me baby because I bring on pandemic due time. I don't know. This 2026 media budget are honorable at force in the parliament. Nankasa etene numasema. Etume who there he was under force not in the parliament. Don't read. The business community are not happy because there's no hope in it. Ghana for now they don't have any hope in it. In Nankasa yet parliament Wankasa one now we name na onye fell because but ministers have not been paid. Look at the faces of the ministers. 30 billion as at half year you have not been able to spend. You have not created even the revenue to spend. Into basically now a Becca chamber in Zamanot Bakufum, one and auto. Go to the market. Last 2 days, Mukogum. What's there in Zamanu or people are not able to buy in Pokofo to Monto, Haruna Eko Kroma, Wotumo Digua. As in Zamana before a bro, or before Motumota. People can't buy. The purchasing power of Ghanaians have gone low. And this is what we expect the government, led by Mahama and then Ato Forson, to focus on. No one just settings now. Inflation, what's on 3.5? What can inflation? Also, they say by end of the year, 8 plus or minus 2. Now, say Sheddon.
Mate.
8 plus or minus 2. Now, say Sheddon.
It may be 6 or 10.
50% plus.
8 minus 2 is 6.
That's a
now, my man, I'll double fruit one. That's all.
Both fruit. Also, I could go crowd to more table. It's in Anna, my main farmers and me.
What do you see that though?
Oh,
now 50. What
is it? What don't you see? What's it? Mammy go to
Debbie. Never do chess.
Oh, just say the baby. But job say.
Yo, Nana, no pay, men find checkers in my mini no mammy home studio had it now. More importantly, no, Abra Silka Mankasi. When I'm also a jar. It was a for ayeka na the payment you be Nana, me the Monkoma some do street na Mfaka Cranka and Koma years no. Ozi can as the crown pedamican day budget review yeah. Update here, Finance Minister Ozebrahim Nedano. It's supposed to be an update or a review, normal and update. American demo stand the original budget Nakasa Abanozi Dinujuma for the year 2026 or presenting way back in November 2025. Now, okay, trying through that budget no. Nzama opeda way for the fiscal year 2026. Inti yes, demre honorable Rekano. Eko enwa Buama. Okay, no, I mean I am brother or the finance minister Oba Nabama update because issue ma say sometimes I mean reviews when you feel there are some changes be in the review now in terms of what target I set before I finished or starting. In the I am brumpa and sometimes you need to need for there chinchinachi but my update review but just so for the purpose of accountability into know or the finance minister Obana Obachim how and Zamaroko and how or changes that may be or sense maybe just so ni policies and other targets I was set no obutu achieve. Now as some cramped in the first place in there Ghana as a country we are doing well but our day are more ambitious. Na ma de bia no yento the old songs are de bia ya to GDP for akesa but yebo na the real effect our there amount for yenya no na ono akebi bi because I said de bia na ye can numbers de bia na ye numbers and ye kasa. Nana why the America da man me Session most of all hen budgets are almost every time piano. Yes, ma Ghana for now. Say honorable Bosha day almost every time you start from global discussions. Now you compare global trends na what is happening in Ghana is back home. Then we bring in with our policies. Now the reason why America the Ghana food shouldn't be so excited and more ambitious today. Marisha 2026 budget, for example, now 2026 budget no. There is something interesting in terms of the global trends. But all the moment zoom in on sub-Saharan Africa. It's data. A country today, Cote d'Ivoire. Here are her neighbors, Cote d'Ivoire. Honorable, you can see there one growth, one figures increasingly is becoming better. It's becoming, I mean, for the past few years, the figures look very good. My more example be just in the Ekwa sub-region, here growth rate. Togo or Benin. Togo is just here. Now me use Burkina Faso, me use Ivory Coast. Togo for 2022, when you have 5.8% growth, 2022. That 2022 no, Ghana you recorded 3.8% growth. The same 2022 no, Ivory Coast recorded 6.4. Now, some of them compare them 3 years. Clearly, in day from 2022 no, Ghana had heavy gas no, form. But fast forward. Such Ivory Coast, you can see there 2022, 2023, 2024, 25, and even 26 now. They are still working around growth rate of minimum of 6% growth rate. The same thing as a country today, Togo, Nana. Togo ya yemfa honyeshi. One growth rate from 2022, minimum that you can see, or a 5.2 minimum growth rate. Ghana has a 3.8, 3.1, 2024. Nana no, it's about 5.7. Now it's also back to 4.0. He said we are talking about 4.8 growth rate around. Now, why am I saying this? What I'm trying to say there, other countries are trying to do well. They are making some effort there, hoping a better growth. That is why a man compare him to the UK na France. Maybe Ivory Coast and Togo. Example no. Now, notwithstanding, no, it doesn't mean that we are doing bad as a country. And I want to use this one, they will zoom in into budget here, Finance Minister already. Indeed, for every economy, basic economies, there are basic indicators or check the resilience of the economy. And inflation, and exchange rate, and foreign exchange rate, forex rate, interbank rate, the exchange rate, these are basic things or define how our economy no resilience no or say. It is our economy na say you have that kind of stability, and here no stability is very important. Stability will indicators now of what in so many ways. Internana, for us to have an exchange inflation rate, for example, or your single digits 8% plus or minus 2. What it simply means there. Saying damn consistency now. Next year 8% or even less. Next 2 years, medium term at least. Damn consistency in terms of our exchange rate stability now. Of what in so many ways. The same way as foreign exchange, dollar to cedi, cedi to dollar, cedi to pound, cedi to all the other international currencies. No, there was stability. It also helps in so many ways as a country. In fact, those things, in this count one, in terms of one importance or relevance for economic development. But another thing is very important. Ghana for we are much interested on the unemployment issue, labor and its productivity issue. Into your bottom, you account all the macroeconomic indicators, inflation, but if said those things does not also translate into employment, so one translate into living standards, one translate into how our people will feel in terms of cost of living. Then we are talking about books, we are talking about on paper how things are looking good, but in reality, the way you are nyimpa na manfu hankasa the way anka yepede abono okonim no na waka problem. Until on that note, let me say there, finance minister why azi wa bod home wasn't papa o Sunday say issue from 2024 25 obey up to today issue figures now Nana, I think that we are recording positive results. No two ways about that. Say issue, for example, and I want to give some figures, I want to give some indicators just to make my point. Issue, for example, in agri sector, a compare from 2020, 7.3% growth, 21, 8.5% growth, 2022, 4.2% growth, 2023, 5.9, 2024, about down to 2.7, but at least 2025, we are recording 6.8. Asia 2026 projections are, we are still expecting something more than 7%. Or is something that we can appreciate today. I mean, we are seeing some improvements, and today, some good indicators are showing. Nana, I can mention so many other indicators for which I'll make a time. I'm not talking about Malcolm one by one. So, on those scores, we can say the finance minister is not doing bad at all. But I am happy that now, so finance minister no bakede. For the past few years in this country, it is difficult to have long-term stability. Say, okay, you have 5 years as no cultural improver, then it goes down. That has been our biggest problem as a country. Until once he was saying that, my hope, another or my expectation today, but to maintain a damn stability in the medium to long term. That is the biggest issue, because these good records, these good figures here are recording in there. We've seen some before. Oh, the baby there, some things are looking good. The indicators not picking kakankra, stability not. But by the time I realize, especially when, for example, you're going to elections or in your external shocks, then your resilience now, you as a country, not why you're weakened. Into Bomude, small thing. Oh, what's in there? There is a Strait of Hormuz as CBS to Russia, Ukraine. Then it begins to impact on us. Then begin to feel the shock. That is the issue when it comes to resilience of our economy, and for which, at this stage, we are going to use today to judge the resilience of the economy. It's all about stability. And so may I expect from the government, from the minister in day, or be consistent with the stability now you're recording. You make sure they, right from that stage of stability, you're able to leverage on it. Now, yes, move from stability to growth. Nana, say your stability, growth, or isn't. Say your a certain balances, favorable balances. There, indicators no inflation, unemployment or no growth no. But inflation, exchange rate, them macroeconomic issues here about no. If the stability in your it is difficult today because we are going to push for growth. But we can also achieve that stability when, to them, a finance minister, we are disciplined with our finances. Sikano, Mawano, Shahun, do your estimations. Know that this is how much I can get. Until I'm not going to over budget. I'm not going to overestimate. Now, as prudent as you can be, I spend what you have to make sure that you are getting the little gains from the little that you have, just so you can achieve that growth that you are looking at. The meantime, finance minister say, why enough from is it? But you see, there is another issue out there here in Ayesha very carefully. And that issue is about how hand budget allocations as against the way I just spend in SCA. Most of the times, you're back kind of a fair 500 million have been sent to Ministry of this, 500 million allocated to this, 500,000 allocated to this. You're kind of a fair allocated. Big numbers. But now when it comes to those figures, all translate into real implementation, you're being a result now, it becomes a big challenge. It is the reason why year in, year out, budget allocations. But year in, year out, the problems they still maintain. They are still the same. Every year, BIA roads. Every year, BIA Ministry of Agri when your allocation. Every year be a Ministry of Roads when allocation. Every year be a Gender Ministry when allocation. Every year be a, we are talking about programs and projects and initiatives. But what do we see in terms of the improvement of the lives of the people? What do we see in terms of living standard, in terms of quality of life? It tells you there is a big gap between Sikankasa is a tuhode, Yazri and Zama. And then the result, another the outcome from those allocations, there's a big gap. Where does it end? That is where Auditor General will come and then we'll start getting all sort of figures. Corruption, Sikawe Anko, Sikawe 1 2 and 5 dollars a year, Sikawe Anko could do, and so on and so forth. It doesn't make development more or reflect into the lives of the people. Into your best beyond allocations now, beyond the allocations, all the agencies and for all the projects, or they make sure we are actually following up in terms of monitoring, in terms of proper evaluation, in terms of target setting against performance, to make sure all those monies they are giving us real benefit as a people. They are changing lives or improve on the or improve upon them. So why the man? And I get the piano, you have figures, you have numbers, no trala, dama, you have numbers, dama, and then the cocoa farmer out there, Mamino Shemi crash on a sabit of or no penny, Bibi Kakaway in a wadano. We are not feeling anything on farm for Subia and from him as a man. But all in all, Nana, what I can say in there, this budget, the review that we have done, it doesn't show anything different. All that the minister is saying there, more budget and more kind of way back in November 2026. No good or Juma. Also, on his figure no fubia ho. He doesn't need any taxes. The mass on the expenses now, while budget at what we are no on and off the oil and Ozzy Juma. Into all that he's trying to tell us in there, Sikana, while project at what they offer those Jumano. He want to work without money and make sure they will maintain all the projections now. Just so at the end of the year, with the hope our budget to be at the end of the year, we to achieve the target. Until we are looking forward to really the real outcomes of the budget and the review. We are looking for the outcomes there. By the time Obama and next budget, na yenya more impactful result. But the numbers of mass and unemployment, decent jobs, or it doesn't show up in the budget very well. Nana, in this year, unemployment rate realistically it's just around 30%. People are not getting work to do. Nkrofu nye juma ye. Inti hen kasa ye kani na no. Say yentum yan translate those nkomozi, those kasa no, those kasam no into how able to create decent jobs that my youth na. And I think they obahu adwene kakra. Okay. Beyond that, Npono, look, there is a big problem in terms of when I weigh a joint organ another Juma for organ. And apart from the public sector, private sector are highly underpaid. When I weigh a private sector, they are highly underpaid. There are a lot of university graduates getting mega salaries. Obi charge less than 800 and 1,000 cities or university graduates. These are the real issues that we expect budget to translate into. These are the real issues that you put the budget no okasa osman dem obaya the teeming unemployed youth na in the country no. These budgets and the discussions are any no obenya effect on. It's a best painful. Whilst we are putting in all the strategies and maintaining the fiscal disciplines and ensuring that we are having macroeconomic stability and all that no. Yeah, share how we can channel those energies into creating sustainable jobs. Yeah, sure how we can channel those energies into creating decent jobs for the people. Then the bigger impact you to me than yenya as a people. Martin, Nanaka Cram is what to do with the budget and 170.
May that's it, part. Not the idea we in common no pay a question be a person be. What's it what I say for a express highway 1.7
$1.7 billion.
Contract how many saying?
That one, not privy to that information. But as it stands here, and I mean, say, last week or last 2 weeks, I'm saying discussion be by. Na any pebi allergy say.
Auditor General, no Auditor General, can you be allergy? Also 1 billion. Sabre no say 1 billion.
And
700.
Road minister be clarify.
700 ni free him.
O say.
Say as at last week, Auditor General de buy na ye 1 billion, which is approximately 11 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
But I know minister say 1.7.
Oh, but road minister also be 1.7.
The Auditor General
no commercial. O say.
You better find auditor.
Controller General, earn about 1.7. And then Russell at Forson, Finance Minister, and say 1.7.
Good. And then may privy to it. But so 1.7 no. A percent how much percentage saying no?
That one I can't tell. But the fact is, you allocate this car, they train their project. That is the most important thing.
It's 1.7 everything your project no.
Oh, say and the budgeted amount. What is the mechanism?
Your review.
Exactly.
Because me so me a privy to information actually say acquiring you know almost estimate around 4 billion USD.
It's in a say acquire oh yeah. Obia we adwuma enya say ofiti a sika le nya na.
Me ba woni danger maybe say that question ni say. The way I will see can no I said because 1.7 billion that whole ninti no. You see kwan so na ye contract no why na area ma no.
Na unim.
Me ba contract no why na area ma no.
Na unim so far contractor bia be kwan ya. Denti a hu say big push na say contractors no do na any abrese on be adwuma no. I say so mu say if there's a dedicated source of funding na ema omunya energy
no
the contractor be na be.
So that is the so far minimum contractor of adwuma. But I'm sure say local contractors here be na be.
What your compensation
for
clear right now.
Sir, a friend is saying military no more clear. Sir, military no clear.
And the military claims you won't compensation.
Oh, for that definitely there will be some form of compensation.
But won't try compensation.
There will be some form of compensation.
I won't try.
I make a say. And I won't say Ghana how projects be pro. Yeah. Contract challenge to me do some level be clear and when you want to see the graph from government. Then you know me preparatory works, paper works. And I want to make an say.
Tell them and just about me.
Okay. What project the bro in Ghana ha? Contract challenge to do about 20%. Now so the preparatory works, you know, the documentation and
but I think say the person who say road near clear. In terms of who say clearance no a part of contract in the Juma na say military no air clear na mo wi am dey contractor
and oh clear kwan wa bra won't
compensation yes
nana and the
no but the
most important thing
no that is not the most important thing
the project is being executed
no
that's why
it shouldn't be at the expense of
that's not the most important thing then na obiti ho the source of livelihood nyina na afoko kakra wo ye wo abe kakra wo ye wo no odo ne board ye kakra ne ade o clear asase no wa bra o man nipa no compensation
definitely we'll look at it.
No, but I think say it's something you have to take it up because people are making that argument say because one person have fair compensation from that you so military no just so they no be afford to clear the road.
And that is what has happened.
That can be possible. I'm sure they will be paid.
And the military
I'm not 100% privy.
No military man
but so honest road me in part of the military banners or be clear. It will be difficult for me to resist say mean team my own clear
military man or any aboka say.
But I also find out from mama modern properties.
After clearing modern property no man catch them say more compensation. After clearing 120 kilometers of the road, aboka say
after clearing that's I'm not figure that the friend say I'm not involved.
No, where did that tight corner?
I'm watching there say you see her no pay.
But the quantity and I was saying no. So they work on. I'm say ni ye nti na obusa sa questions we na because a projector see we are at least a game changer when it comes to your road infrastructure or my more. It's I am one about it. Question of very legitimate. What is the mechanism? And I'm sure say those in charge, authorities in charge, almost because look. Won't you make Jimmy Coco from now? My brother said, "Be a machine now." But then I want him say, "Yes, almost 30 years or so." A month for who's
almost speculative.
A month for equity properties all.
And your best
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, or Asana maker.
And they say smart business person be our best investment.
Speculative development.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't know. Now, 1 minute, 2 minutes.